Yes. Good morning and welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much, as ever, for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Hit the like button, share button, everything you can. Retweet if you're seeing this on Twitter. But it's really important that you subscribe, and really important that you hit the like button. I'm not too sure what my microphone's doing around that way. We'll turn that around. Champions League football is back. Anita's coming up later on today with a Chelsea preview. So really excited for you all to see that, breaking down what's going on in their world in relation to this tournament. But it's an interesting one for me, the Champions League. We pray to be in it. We're in it, and there's a lot of nerves. And I get why there's nerves. We're playing Paris Saint-Germain in our opening game. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. But I say, let's just enjoy this for what it is. We all have our own expectations of what we think we're going to do, what we won't do, how good we are, how bad we are, etc. So I'm just going to try and sit back. I'm going to try and enjoy this as best I can. I love being in this tournament. There's no doubt about it. But what an acid test straight away for Manchester United. It's huge. It's so big. It's such a difficult game for us. I don't even want to write us off, though. I don't even want to write Man United off from the outset. We could lose. We could get slapped in this game. There's no doubt about it. But we have the ability to go to Paris Saint-Germain and win. We have the ability to go there and beat them. There is no doubt about that in my mind. When you possess a team that has Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, and Donny van der Beek as part of your midfield setup, you can win these games. Let us not get that element twisted. We have the personnel, and we have the capability of beating Paris Saint-Germain. I want your views and opinions on it, though. Whether you're watching live right now in the comments section or you're watching the playback, let us know what you're thinking and feeling ahead of this game. We know it's going to be a tough one. The Skype lines are now open for anyone watching live that wants to call in, have their say, tell us how they're thinking and feeling. And I know that there's definitely going to be some nerves out there. There's going to be some nerves out there. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. I totally understand why people would be nervous about it as well, because, as I say, it's a really, really big game. But smash that like button for us right about now. Champions League football is back. And let's delve into it. I mean, one of the biggest, interesting and most potent pieces of news around this game is these rumors that Paris Saint-Germain have between 3 to 6 players out, injured and unavailable for multiple reasons. Julian Draxler, Juan Bernat, Icardi, Verratti, Marquinhos. There's lots of different rumors. I don't know how many of them to actually believe. There's an article I read yesterday saying that Icardi and Verratti have been ruled out, but then there were new rumors that they're in training. We just know that Paris Saint-Germain have a team from front to back that are potent, that are dangerous, that have the capabilities of destroying you, even with 2 or 3 players out. Remember, they were Champions League finalists. Let's not get twisted about that. Champions League finalists. That cannot be ignored at any point. But for me, I go into this game. I don't even know why I go into this game with confidence. Maybe it's because anything can happen in relation to that. I think Paris Saint-Germain are going to be the aggressors in this game. United can then hopefully revert to type. We have done very well in big games against potent attacking teams by sitting back, being compact, and playing on the counter. And I hope that we can do that. I really do hope that we can do that in this game. There's a lot of talk for Man United to play with a 4-4-2 diamond shape with Donny, Pogba, and Bruno all within that setup. I'm not too sure that's the right thing to do. For me, what I would go for in this game is I'd actually give Alex Telles his debut at left back, for the counter-attack capabilities and crossing of the ball. That's first and foremost what I would do in this game. So I'd have Telles at left back. I would have Wan-Bissaka at right back, centre-back partnership of Lindelof and Maguire. It's about the best we've got, and we can't do any better than that. Keep that compact. I would have McTominay and Fred in front of them in those midfield areas, because you need that energy and that tenacity and people that are happy to do that role and that are good at it. So that'd be my kind of backline defensive areas. Then you look at the attacking options. What do we have? I would take the changes I would start to make is I would take Dan James out on Juan. I know Juan Mata was brilliant, but I would take out Juan Mata and replace him with Donny van der Beek. I would take out Dan James and replace him with tough one here. I'm going to go Cavani. but then move Rashford's position and change Rashford's position, of course, with Dan James, and have Cavani leading the line. He's going to know a lot about this team. He's going to know how to upset the apple cart, as an example. He's going to know some of their weaknesses as well. I would start him in this game. I don't care that people talk fitness this, fitness that. Martial will probably be the guy to start, but I would go with Cavani. Martial to come off the bench later on in that game. I think it's important that we get some minutes under the belt as well as Cavani, because we need him for the next 2 Premier League games as well. So there's also a bit of long-term thinking in that process. And then the other midfield areas, I know people say, well, what about Pogba? I'd keep Pogba on the bench, bring him on later on in the game. That's what I'd go. How many players have I named there? So you got your goalie, 4 at the back's 5, 6, 7. Donny van der Beek is 8, Rashford 9, Cavani 10, and Bruno Fernandes, of course, stays in the team. So I would have Pogba, I would have Martial on the bench. That gives you some really good impact and some really good strength to come on later in the game. And this isn't an attack at Paul Pogba. I just think we need that tenacity in midfield if we're going to play counter-attack football, and it's what I would go with in that way, shape, or form. But I want your views and I want your opinions. We know the danger men at Paris Saint-Germain. We absolutely know who they are, what they are, how they operate, what they do. We know all of this. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Looking at the last couple of games, they tend to play in the 4-3-3 formation. Sometimes 4-4-2. It depends on what website you go on, as an example. But I look at the team that played at the weekend, and I mean, they rested a lot of. You look at that team. Not all their stars are there. Still smashed the game 4-0. But I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. Do you think some of these sort of 6-7 players that are rumored to be out will be back for this game? Do you think it gives Man United more of an advantage? Do you think it actually applies more pressure to Man United with all these players being out? Right, that's what I want to know from you all. I'm going to go to your live calls now. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling. There's a comment here from the Realist who says, it's not just Donny. Fred needs to start too. I've seen some chemistry between them playing together. They both have fire and pace in them. I wouldn't say Donny's overly paceful. What I love about Donny is he doesn't try to dribble. He knows that the ball moves faster than he can, and he passes it as and when he needs to. I think Donny van der Beek is going to be so important. He's going to be so important for this game. European pedigree, Champions League experience, cultured on the ball. I would bring him in for that the role that Juan Mata played. Have him playing with Cavani, have him interchanging with Bruno in the attacking sense. It's going to be really important for that counter-attack. Someone who can ball, someone that can drop deeper if needed, and do a better job in those areas in midfield than what Juan Mata can. I would also have a Cavani. Another reason for Cavani over Rashford or Martial in that position is hold-up play. There are going to be times where we break the ball down, we get it off of Paris Saint-Germain, and we need to knock that ball straight into Cavani, who can hold it, who can keep the ball up and wait for the runners, the Rashfords of this world, the Brunos of this world, the Alex Telleses of this world to join him inside that counter-attack. It's all about being technical in relation to that and strategic in who I'm picking as opposed to personal. That is what I would go with. But I want your views. I want your opinions. Get your super chats in. Man United, Paris Saint-Germain. It's here, baby. It's here, baby. Let's go to our first caller. We've got Ahmed on the line. Ahmed, can you turn your device down in the background, first of all, for me, please? Ahmed, we're going to go to you now. And before we do that, perfect time to play Paris Saint-Germain right now is what Just Looking says. Kevin, one of our members, says we need Fred's legs and ability to cover the whole pitch. I agree. Ahmed, what you saying, bro? Paris Saint-Germain, Man United, how you feeling about the game?
Yes, I'm a PSG fan, obviously. And if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would be hella confident for the game.
Yep.
But now with the injuries and the key players that is out, Marquinhos, Verratti, it will be a tight game. And I'm more nervous now than I was before.
So there's a lot of speculation, who in your opinion will be missing from the Paris Saint-Germain starting lineup?
The thing is, I don't really know because so many different reports out there. But I believe that Verratti and Marquinhos will be out because they got actually injured at the international and hasn't been training as much as the others. And they are the key players that we need to play the way we want to. Because I think if we don't play, because Leonardo Paredes is also out. So if we don't play Verratti and Paredes, I think United have a chance to dominate the midfield.
Yeah, when I look at your team that started at the weekend, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I don't even recognize a lot of the players, and that's because I'm very open about this. I'm not a regular viewer of European football, so there's a lot of player names out there who, obviously, the goalkeeper Kimpembe.
Yeah, we played a lot of backups.
Yeah, you played a lot of back. Yeah, you played a lot of backups for that game. But you just said, so you think that, I mean, Verratti seems like he's going to be out of this game. He was training by himself yesterday, very unlikely. Icardi could be missing as an example. What about some other names that I didn't see in the starting lineup at the weekend? Where's Angel Di Maria? Is he going to be fit?
He has been out for the Ligue 1 games because if you knew the Marseille game, he spit at one of the Marseille guys.
Okay. Is that why he's there? So
he will play.
So he's available for the Champions League.
Yeah. Okay. And we played because Juan Bernat right now he's injured for like 6 months. We played a back of Michel Bakker. He's a very young, talented left back. And it looks that he's also injured now.
Right.
So we will probably play Karzawa, and he's so bad. So there's these areas for United to exploit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you say, 2 weeks ago, Manchester United got beat badly by Tottenham. It looks like Ollie was going to be sacked. And then we come to this weekend just gone. We play very well against Newcastle. There seems to be real good togetherness within the Man United team. I want to ask about Rashford, because whenever Man United play Paris Saint-Germain, the Rashford Mbappe thing comes up. Now, let me be very clear. Kylian Mbappe is a level above Marcus Rashford. There's no doubt about it. But what do Paris Saint-Germain fans think of him? Do they know he's danger? Do they look at him as a threat?
Yeah, Marcus Rashford will always be a threat with his pace, with his skills. The only thing with Rashford is that he's not maybe that consistent. But you can obviously see that he's a great talent. He has potential to be a very, very good player. And that's where I think you guys should exploit Rashford in the counterattacks. Because I don't think you guys will play toe-to-toe with PSG. I think you will sit back, maybe have 5 at the back, and looking for the counterattacks when we press very high. Because we play a very high line.
Yes.
And but obviously we don't have Marquinhos. And we will instead play Diallo, if you know who it is.
Yeah, I think yes, I have heard of that guy. I have heard of him. Actually, he's a name that I have heard of within your squad. I have to admit, like this is where I'm. There's a lot of Premier League football fans who pretend they watch European football. They primarily play Football Manager or FIFA, and they act like they know they know the names of these players, but do they know anything about them? Not really. Listen, Paris Saint-Germain scare me in terms of, I know how potent you can be. But as you say, you play that high line. And it's one of the reasons why I want Donny van de Beek to start as well. You've got Bruno there. We saw it the weekend. You've got a high line. You can play some balls into channels for the likes of Rashford for those diagonal runs. It can be very, very dangerous. And of course,
if you guys press us and leave space for Kylian Mbappe, that's the most dangerous thing to do. Because he loves when he gets a lot of space and he can run into players. But if you are compact and try to put a man on Mbappe, it will be much harder for him.
Well, that's one of the things I would look for us to try and do tactically as well. Play deep, very little room to run in behind. We then have to play on the counter attack, because Kylian Mbappe doesn't just have great technique, great skill, great finishing ability. His pace is electric. We've got Rashford that's quick. Mbappe's even faster. So we can't allow anyone to get the run on him. I would also at times in the game say to Fred, just stick on him. You know what, Fred? Sometimes you just got to stick with that man and give him hell, put him off his game, put crazy pressure on him in relation to that. But it's been a pleasure talking to you, and especially being a Paris Saint-Germain fan as well. We'll speak to you again soon. Thank you, Ahmed. Next up on the show, we've got man like Nelson. Nelson, Man United, Paris Saint-Germain. Give me your thoughts ahead of this epic Champions League clash.
Yeah, actually, I think this is going to be a very good game. First of all, I don't want to see a back 5 because that's stupid. We can just play 2 central defensive midfielders and play back 4. So we need energy in the midfield. So playing a back 5 is kind of like, why are we doing that? Like, we don't need to do that. We can just play a back 4 and play 2 defensive midfielders to protect the back line.
Who has said we should? One second. Who said we should play a back 5? I'm confused.
No, like most people are like thinking maybe we should play defensive. We should play more defensive against PSG. I don't think that's a good idea, actually. I think that's a very bad idea because that will just pin us back. We cannot play our counter-attacking football. We cannot do nothing if we play back 5. But if we should play back four, then and also one of that part of the game is Rashford should be the striker and Martial should play from the left wing, because Rashford is better on like with the if the line is not deep. So we're expecting PSG to come at us. So since we're expecting that for them to come at us, then we should play Rashford as the striker and Martial should play from the left wing, because Rashford is good.
That's a good shout.
If they give him space to run into, Rashford is dangerous when there's space to run into.
No, I understand that completely. I think for me, if Martial or Pogba start this game, you're not going to see me disappointed in it in any way, shape, or form. One of the other pieces of rationale about keeping Martial and Pogba on the bench is I think the 5 substitution rule is available in the Champions League, meaning we've got the ability to make a fair amount of substitutions, and depending on how the game's going.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't necessarily make substitutions, Ellie.
No, I understand. Again, I'm thinking about it from my point of view. So for me, the way I'm looking at it and want us to play is having Pogba's and Martial to come on from the bench, say in the 65th, 70th minute, is potent for us. It gives us fresh legs in those areas. If we start with those players and they're the ones doing the grinding, because we are going to have to grind this result out. I can't imagine us outplaying Paris Saint-Germain in Paris. I just can't see that. So we have to grind it out. When you grind a game out and you get to 65, 70 minutes, it would be amazing to bring on 2 of our best players with fresh legs. And the reason I say that is I wouldn't necessarily consider Martial and Pogba great players when it comes to grinding. That isn't their skill set. That isn't where I look at them and go, they are potent and brilliant in those positions. So it's about horses for courses. And I think both of those 2 individuals coming on 65, 70 minutes into this game, when the game will become a bit more stretched, if we do our early job right by keeping Paris Saint-Germain at bay, again, things could change very quickly. Paris Saint-Germain score a couple of early goals.
I expect Martial to start because we need someone that can hold the ball. And if he's on the wing, Martial can hold the ball from the wing.
True.
Then Rashford can be the striker. So he's like
what
an
about
outlet
Cavani? Do you not think it would be important to give Cavani a start, considering that we need him in the next couple of Premier? Hear me out. In the next couple of Premier League games, we need him to be fit because we don't have Martial. We don't really want to be we've got Chelsea and Arsenal in our next 2 Premier League games.
But that's too much experiment. That's so much experiment. Like, we cannot just do that, though. It's better to play Rashford as the striker because his space will be good between there'll be a lot of space between the goalkeeper and the defense. So that space is where Rashford can walk in, can play his best football, actually. Just a ball over the top to Rashford to run into. That's perfect.
I do hear that. Listen, Nelson, great opinions. Nelson wants Martial to start on the left, Rashford through the middle. Give us a call on Skype now. Thank you, Nelson. Search Football Terrace FC on Skype. Give us a call. We want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling. Ahmed here, one of our members, says very shiny. T-shirt, very shiny. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Love you as a member, but I don't know. Comment here says, no Cavani. He's just had his first training session. I get that. I want to get some minutes in his leg. Next up on the show, we have Imran. Imran, welcome to the Football Terrace. Who do you support?
United.
Thank you for calling. Oh, it's very. What are you rubbing your microphone against, bro? It's very noisy.
Just one moment. So can you hear me? That's
perfect. Got Paris Saint-Germain. What's your thoughts ahead of the game? Who should start for United? Let's go for it, Imran. Tell us what you think, bro.
I agree with you. I would bring on Pogba and Martial. 65, 70 minute. It's going to be a grinding game. It's going to be a game that's going to be in the trenches. It's going to be very difficult. I wouldn't, Pogba, Martial, you start them defending, grinding. It's not in their game. It's going to be very difficult. We're going to be under the cosh from minute 1. So we have to manage the game. We have to manage the game, sit deep, sit compact. Space will open up. And when spaces open up, hit them on the break. They will get tired eventually. And then that's when we hit them on the break. Also have Fred on Mbappe, because Mbappe is going to be dangerous, very, very dangerous. Lightning speed, lightning quick. If he gets one chance, he'll finish it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I completely agree with that. I'm
confident. I'm confident.
So you are confident about the game then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's making you so? I'm not challenging it. I just want to understand what's making you personally so confident about this game.
I think personally with the Spurs game, I think it was a very difficult result. But a lot of people on social media went overboard as they usually do. The game was horrible, but that game we lost 6-1. But everything that was going to go wrong went wrong. It's one of those games where everything goes wrong will go wrong. It doesn't matter if you change the tactics, you're still going to get beat. And then against the Newcastle game, I saw Ollie. I'm an Ollie in person. I don't want new managers and all that. Terry, we had this conversation about 2 years ago with Jose Mourinho. I remember having that conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be the same cycle. The thing that makes me confident is the way we played against Newcastle. We're very organised. There was a structure to the game. There was a flow to the game. And I think Ollie will have them ready. He'll have them ready. He'll have them mentally ready. Everyone's going to be up for it. If you can't, this is the reason why Man United Football Club wants to be where they are. It's these games like these, you put, you're playing PSG. It's great to play big clubs. We want to play the big clubs. We want to go with the best of the best. And I think United will be, they're going to be ready for it. They have to, he will get ready for them, because this won't be like Spurs.
I agree with you on the point that you make about, we want to be in this competition.
There
are some a lot of United fans who are like almost saying, they're not quite saying it, but they're almost saying, I'd rather not being it in the competition because I'm scared of being beat up by a side. And listen,
then you might as well not.
You might as well not.
You might as well. Yeah, you might as well just.
Then don't cry if we don't get into the Champions League. Yeah, no, exactly. For me, I'm up for it. I'm excited. I've got that nervous feeling as well in my stomach, which is just absolutely amazing, and I'm excited about it. Donny van der Beek. Let's chat Donny van der Beek. Should he be starting the game, in your opinion? His European pedigree is palpable. He hasn't started a game yet in one of the major tournaments for the club.
Yeah.
Would you start him in this one?
100%. 100%. You're going to need someone when they get the ball. The ball retention has to be good. Someone that's very simple but can open up teams. The thing that I have with Pogba, I don't know if him and Pogba can play. Him and Pogba and Bruno. I don't know how you fit all three of them in the same team. That is obviously that's Ollie's decision, not mine. Van der Beek has to start, Terry. You have to start Van der Beek. Van der Beek has to start because we've seen Pogba, we've seen Pogba and Bruno start, Terry, in the last, how many matches? Yeah. Was it 3 matches we've seen them start? It's not kind of clicked, and we can't experiment. We have to start with Van der Beek. Let's start with Van der Beek. Give the guy a chance because he's played. He's got to Europe I think he's got to Champions League finals. He's played in Champions League, so he's got the experience.
Yeah, he knows. He does have that. And I think for me, I thought Juan Mata was amazing against Newcastle, and
God.
And do you know what?
What footballer?
He is a great footballer. And do you know what? For years at Manchester United, Juan Mata's position, we haven't been able to utilise Juan Mata. For one reason or another. I don't ever feel we've had the very best Juan Mata that Chelsea did. What we saw on Saturday against Newcastle, he was sublime. And maybe that's what he's needed all along, runners and ballers around him so that he can be utilised. And I would look at using him in this game. It wouldn't shock me if he started. However, I just think if you put Donny van der Beek in Juan Mata role from the previous game, the link up between Donny and Bruno will be amazing. It really will. By the way, if we brought Pogba in to that role for Juan Mata and played him more advanced, that wouldn't bother me either. Because I'm not worried.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm not worried about this on paper. Well, why would you play?
I was going to ask you.
Why would you play Donny or Pogba on the right? But it's about the fluidity in game. Everyone knows this about me. I don't really care about the starting position of a player. I care about where their movement is during a game. Go on, mate. You had a question.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I don't know if they play in the same position. Aaron Bazaka versus Neymar. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
that's going to be good.
It is going to be interesting, and this is something else I'm excited about because we get to see the Maguires, we get to see the McTominays again, we get to see the Wan-Bissakas, we get to see Rashford, we get to see a lot of these young players or new players to Man United in the last year or so. We get to see them tested in the Champions League. In fact, I'm equally as excited about seeing Bruno Fernandes in the Champions League because one of the kind of negatives that rivals throw out about Bruno is that he's never done it in the Champions League. He's done it in the Premier League. He's done it in the Portuguese league. He's done it in the Europa. So I'm really excited. This is what I would love to see from the AWBs, from the Brunos, from the Maguires is say, yeah, I'm Champions League ready. I'm Champions
Yeah,
League
I'm ready.
material.
Let's go.
Step
Let's
up
go.
and deliver. And listen,
I was
it's
gonna-
going to be
I was
one of the
gonna
most
make one-
difficult players that AWB has ever come up against. But
That's
from a
gonna be good,
defensive
though.
point of
I
view,
can't wait.
yeah, but from a defensive point of view, I'm not nervous about him. Like
Nah.
defensively, I'm well up for it. They're not a team here that are going to be like whipping balls in left, right, and centre.
I remember.
You know, I'm not worried about the aerial threat here. This is going to be on the ground football. AWB is amazing. He's amazing at this. So I'm well up for seeing that, bro.
I think him and Neymar. I think he's gonna Neymar when Neymar when Neymar gets head to head with him, and Neymar's going to go, I'm in for a long night because this guy's not going to give anything away. This kind of guy's going to go toe to toe with me, so I'm going to have to bring my A game. I was going to ask you, Terry, when this draw came out, a lot of Arsenal fans were bantering me as a United fan, and I was saying, well, guys, what should Man United do? Should we not just go in the competition? Should we just stay out of it? Because we're not going to win it, so let's just stay out of it and finish the top 6.
Yeah,
is that what you want?
Yeah, mate, bro. I never get drawn into those. Like banter is banter.
You want to be in the Champions
Of course
League.
it is.
I'd rather lose the FA Cup. I'd rather be in the Champions League. The reason being, yeah, FA Cup's great to win. I understand that. But the modern day and age is, Terry, you have to be in the Champions League to buy the best players in the world. You can't be in the Champions League and you don't get that luxury of, you know what? I can pick this player, because we've got Champions League football. If you're not in Champions League football, Terry, then financially it cripples you.
Of course it is. And the money's a big important thing. For me,
Yeah,
I just look at it from the point of view of I want to see my team, I want to see my players in these tournaments. I'm going to get, it doesn't matter how, everyone knows how I feel and how I think about our board and about the center of our club. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to see us in this tournament, in these games, in these moments, going toe to toe with the European elites. I want it still. I'd rather be in Man United's position and in the Champions League with the potential of being beat up than be where Arsenal are, be where Tottenham are, be where Leicester City are. I'd rather be where we are. Like I wouldn't swap with any of those teams. And you know, the Premier League's been such an interesting start. We saw yesterday, up until the 78th minute, or into the 82nd minute, Tottenham could win this league. You know, Tottenham look like the most well-oiled, well-drilled, best team in the league. Their win percentage in the Premier League this season is lower than Manchester United's. It's, you know, they threw away a 3-goal lead. Nothing is normal, and it doesn't excuse losing 6-1 to Tottenham. It doesn't excuse losing to Crystal Palace 3-1. But there are results at play across all of Europe's elite leagues, let alone in the most competitive of the top 5 European leagues, the Premier League. There are freak results left, right, and center. There have been, and we've seen that consistently. And I'm not just going to look at it and go, because we lost a few games this early, let's write off our entire season. Get behind the team, support your team, get up for it, because we're one here and we have to. There's no point putting the negativity out there. But bro, I appreciate you coming on, Imran. Great chat, great conversation. Thank you, my brother. Let's do some of your comments here. Get your super chats in as well, people. Smash the like button. Nearly 1,000 people tuning in this morning, which is amazing. Thank you. Hit that like button. Hit that share button for us again here. Ultra67, one of our long-term viewers and members, says not struck on them European refs. Could well see a red card. Paris Saint-Germain have many drama queens. Bruv, listen, it's no denying that some teams in Europe have drama queens. Let's just play them at their own game. Let's just play them at their own game and be as dramatic if we get fouled. That's where someone like Scott McTominay's got to be careful as well. How can you drop French Paul Pogba for a game in Paris? He can win United the game. Listen, don't look at it as dropped. It's a tactical decision. Paul Pogba coming on 65, 70 minutes. If we're in the game still, when we've ground them down, when we've hopefully stopped Paris Saint-Germain, that is potent. That is dangerous. It's a strategy. It's a tactic. That's what it's about. It's a strategy and a tactic, as opposed to he's dropped. Next up on the line, we've got Adil. What football team do you support?
Oh, United.
You're a Man United fan. Give me your thoughts ahead of Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh, well, I'm thinking that we should put the same team what we put this week.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing is we need to have Fred and McTominay as CDMs, because Mbappe and Neymar are really, really fast players, and we need someone to hold that midfield.
Absolutely. And you
And
think they're the right guys then, yeah?
the thing is, Fred and McTominay always works together. When you put Matic with McTominay or when you put Matic with Fred, we always lose. But when Fred and McTominay they play together, they have something kind of a synergic effect. They want to win games and they have a point to prove. So they're always running around the field. Also, I have a point about up front. Up front, I think we should keep the same thing, Rashford, and on the left wing, James. If we don't want to have a James on left wing, then we can move a Rashford to the left wing and put Cavani up front. I also rate what do you call Greenwood and Martial a lot, but I think they don't work together. So Greenwood and Martial can come as a sub, and then we have option of playing Mata or Van Beek on the right when we don't play all them three together. So we have more depth in the midfield because Pogba and Bruno will have a place too. So I think the best team to put ahead is the same team what we had.
Against
And
Newcastle.
the most important thing is to have McTominay and Fred in the midfield because
I agree. Yes, I agree with your Fred and McTominay point. Adil, thank you very much for your call. Really do appreciate that, mate. I think they're going to be imperative in that central area. The tenacity, the ability to break up and win the ball. Not sure about Dan James starting. I just don't see the technical ability being good enough when you're up against this Paris Saint-Germain side. Comment here from Tash says United need to rebuild like Arsenal. Arteta will do a great job for Arsenal over a few years. Can see Giggs doing the same at United. His style of play and philosophy is fast-paced attacking football. Look, I'm not too sure about Ryan Giggs coming in and being the manager, but I appreciate your comment there, my friend. Yes, Skype calls are possible. Search Football Terrace FC on Skype. This is an interesting name. Elvis is in the building. Elvis, welcome to the Football Terrace. Who do you support?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Who do you support, Elvis?
Yeah. My suggestion on the team is I would like to play a three-man midfield. The three-man midfield will comprise Van der Beek, Fred, and McTominay. Can you hear me?
Yes. So Van der Beek, Fred, and McTominay in midfield.
McTominay, yes. Then we place Bruno Fernandes up front. Then you attack Rashford and Cavani. Drop Cavani for them. The defenders will concentrate on Cavani while Rashford will hurt them. That'll be the strategy for me.
So are you going 4-3-3 with this formation?
Yes, 4-3-1-2. That's 4-3-3. Bruno Fernandes behind the two strikers, while Van der Beek, Fred, and McTominay will close up the midfield and try to stop their attacks.
It's not a bad idea. I can't even. That's not a bad team at all. You've got tenacity. You've got ball playing ability. You've got two different types of attackers. Cavani. A few people are disagreeing that Cavani should be in the team.
Distract the defense.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Cavani will have the legs to start this game?
Yes, I think so. Because he's coming in with a fresh vibe. They have not played for the team for almost a year now, and coming in to play in Paris, his former home, the place he have reigned for a long time. I believe the FC Paris Saint-Germain would want to host him. The defenders want to put emphasis on him, while Rashford would be a free man to roam in the defense up and down. Bruno Fernandes will create all his chances on Rashford, while Cavani is a free to them. I think so. It's a strategy.
No, listen, I like the idea of Cavani starting. Both he understands Paris Saint-Germain. There's that he wants to play, and I think that will get him through. I also want him to get some minutes under his belt because we're going to need him in big Premier League games against Chelsea and against Arsenal. So I feel like if he plays this game and we get 50, 60 minutes out of him, take him off, rest those legs up, then Saturday he's got to play again. That's going to help it because we need him against Chelsea. And then we're going to need him a week after that against Arsenal as well. He has to start playing very quickly for me. Elvis, thank you very much for coming on the show, my friend. Next up, we got my guy, fellow East Londoner, man like Mac in the house. What's going on, bro?
What's happening, Terry? What's happening?
I'm good, bro. First of all, how excited are you about being back in the Champions League?
Do you know what? Yeah, boy, I'm just riding it, man. Whatever happens, happens. And people were talking about, oh, we're going to get pumped by PSG. Have you seen PSG's actual team? Barring like Neymar and Mbappe, like, have you seen their team? It's not that great.
I mean, I'm looking at the players available. I mean, looking at some of the line. Like I've said, I'm not a connoisseur of football, mainly because I don't play FIFA. I'm looking at the team, and there's 1, 2. I mean, they've got Moise. Like, Moise Kean playing isn't a bother to me. Like, I don't care if Moise Kean taps in a goal. Like, him as a player I don't fear him. I look at their midfield that was available for the weekend. Again, I don't look at that and go, oh my God, we're in trouble, man. We're in trouble. Like, do you get where I'm coming from? It's not.
I'm not scared.
I hear you.
I'm not fearful. That even I know I heard because I was watching Aaron and the boys yesterday. I know Verratti's out. He's injured as always. Yeah. Even if they did have Verratti though, I still wouldn't be fearful of them because their defense is not something I revere. The midfield, no. It's just Mbappe and Neymar. And where it is that if you cut off, they're not going to be able to dribble from the halfway line and bang in a goal. You know what I'm saying? If you cut off their supply, right, well, I think we'll be all right. I think I'm hearing a lot of people talking about Fred playing. I would play Fred, yeah, because I'd want that energy. Tomine as well, yeah, why not? That energy, that dynamism, and a bit of creativity in there. Donny van der Beek for me, yeah, has to start. Probably bring back in Martial. And yeah, Rashford up top as well with him. Like, yeah, man, I'm not scared of PSG, man. I'm not scared of PSG.
I hear you, Mac, in the sense of like I'm fearful of them in the sense that I know they can beat us. So I've got that fear, like that. Oh, this is the big game. You know, sometimes you go into a football match, and with Man United, we should probably fear everybody in that respect. But you know, you go into some games where, like, you know, for instance, every time you play a top 6 side, you get a different kind of feeling. Like, oh, this is like, it's a big game. I have that feeling, but I don't look at Paris Saint-Germain, and what I don't want. Forget what I think and you think. I don't. If our players are going into this game going, oh my God, we've got to play against Paris Saint-Germain, then we have major problems. This should be a game where this morning in training, you should, you know, and they're traveling out to Paris today when they're training in the what's the name of the stadium? Is it the I never remember the name of their stadium, and I shouldn't. It's the Parc de Paris. I think that's how it's pronounced. When they're out there training this afternoon, I want Maguire, I want Rashford, I want AWB, Bruno, like rubbing their hands together, saying, look where we are, look what we're doing, look what we can achieve. Yeah. I want them to be up for this. And this is where fans play a big part. We know they see what's on social media. Encourage them, get behind them. Like, for me, how amazing would it be? You know, I'd take a draw now as an end result. But imagine how amazing you'll feel as a United fan. Imagine AWB stops Neymar, keeps him quiet. Neymar's looked at as one of the most greatest players in the world. I'm like, go on, AWB, stop him, bro. You know,
imagine, but why not, Terry? Though, man, like,
look
at him, like, he can stop him. I don't see. Yeah, the thing about Neymar as well, right? Like, I like Neymar, but what doesn't scare me about Neymar is that he always wants to make the game about himself. When I watch him, he's always trying to capture the headlines, and that can work in the opposition's favor because sometimes it's like Neymar pass the ball, but no, he has a shot, and I've seen that so many times that I don't fear him in terms because he just, to me, it's a mentality thing with him. Like, don't get me wrong, like, the guy is a sick player. Don't get me wrong. But so I've watched him so many times and I've just seen him like just go for the headlines instead of just playing the pass. And occasionally, yeah, he'll do it and that, but more often than not, he plays for himself. So that's why I don't fear him. Players that I see with all the technical ability in the world, but play for themselves, I don't fear. Because, yes, you may be able to, like, score a 30-yarder now and again.
Yeah,
but the percentage of that is very slim.
And I hear that, bro. And I think, man. And to address the fear thing, there's a lot of people saying, like, we're crazy not to fear Paris Saint-Germain. There's a difference. I respect Paris Saint-Germain's ability. I respect how good they are. I know that if you give them too many chances, they can beat you. That's normal. It's not about fear, though. It's about I respect them, but I don't fear them in that way. I think you've said it right, actually. So I might have said it wrong at the beginning of this stream. It isn't so much I'm scared. Oh my God, it's Paris Saint-Germain. I'm scared. I'm respectful of how good they are, but I'm up for this fight as a fan. I look at this. We've had a Paris Saint-Germain call the show and say, I'm nervous about playing Man United. That's what we don't do enough as Man United fans, is speak to our opponents and ask them to be honest and say, how do you feel? I mean, give you an example. The Newcastle, like Kendall was on the show, like, I don't fear Man United anymore. I think that's because we indulge so much in our press, and our United have finished, we're over the hill. Like, Newcastle fans were not worried one bit about playing us at the weekend, and look what happened. So I respect Paris Saint-Germain. I really do. But I know that if we play very well, I know we can beat them. I know we can beat them.
Look at our team. Our team is not as bad as people make out. We've got Pogba, we've got Van der Beek now, we've got Rashford, we've got Martial, Bruno. Look at the goal that Bruno scored on the weekend, man. Like, look at Rashford on the weekend. Look at AWB. Like, but we've got players. We've got good players. Fred was good. McTominay, if he just does the simple things, like he can fit into the team.
And bro, us on the counter attack as well. That's why I want Donny to start, because that guy loves to be in the box. And it's funny, I put out another one of those tweets last night of no system, no style, no patterns, no play. It's done quite well again. The amount of people telling me, Terry, you don't know what patterns of play are. It's a counter attack. They're not patterns of play. I never profess to be a football connoisseur, as everyone knows. I'm a football fan. But I sat there and watched a few YouTube videos last night. They're professional coaching videos, and they're quite boring. They're not engaging to watch, but they're insightful, if that makes sense. And it's all about patterns of play. And when you listen to it, the same theme that came up regularly was essentially when they work on patterns of play and training. I have to come to this first. It made me laugh, right? Is a pattern of play is essentially it's not so much about teaching people how to pass and pass the ball. It's more about people being in the right positions during in attacking or defensive phases. And they talk about zones. Yeah. So it's a case of when we counter attack from X position, Bruno Fernandes is the attacking midfielder. I want you to end up in zone 1 or zone 2, whatever the zones are. They know what these zones are as players. We may not necessarily know them as fans. But I want you to get yourself into zone 1 or zone 2. That's where you need to be. That's the movement we need to see from you. I've had people comments saying that this was just really good movement from the players. It has nothing to do with patterns of play. I'm like, bruv, when you listen to professional coaches talk about patterns of play, it's primarily about movement and about being in the right zones and territories on the pitch. It's less about passing the ball.
A good channel to watch for that.
What was it called?
Tifo.
Tifo's good. Tifo's good, but they just kind of reiterate what's already been said. The channel I looked at was an actual coaching channel. There's actual coaches taking you through these training methods. I'll find it. I'll share it in a link.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, I like to see
it. But it's interesting to listen to, because you're like, I watched for 8 minutes as he's talking about how he works on patterns of attacking play, and he barely mentions touch and he barely mentions passing. It's all about movement and zones. So
yeah, that's what it's about.
That's cool.
It's about being blindfolded and knowing that my man is going to be on the right.
And it's like people say things like, United finesse the attacks. It's like, well, yeah, and sometimes there's creative intuition and there's creative freedom. But Bruno knows, okay, when Rashford gets the ball and cuts on the inside, Bruno knows that in training they do it where he has to now make the inverted run behind him because it creates an opening for a pass. Now, in that goal Bruno scored, and I'm watching it again now, there's two things that could happen with the inverted run. Rashford makes the run with pace. He brings two defenders towards him. Bruno's free. As Bruno now makes the inverted run, it does one or two things. The defender that's marking Rashford either stays with Rashford or goes with Bruno. Even if he goes with Bruno, Rashford can then shoot. If he doesn't go with Bruno, Bruno's then there for the pass. That's a pattern of play. They work on that movement in training. And that's what I love. I don't listen. If a professional coach wants to come on and show me how I'm wrong or educate me, I'm up for it, because I'm a football fan. I don't know. What winds me up is football fans with no coaching acumen, no coaching qualifications, continually telling me that isn't what a pattern of play is, or that isn't what, it's nothing to do with movement. And then you listen to a professional coach talk and they're like 85% of attacking elements working is about movement and about people being in the right zones.
It's about movement. I mean, like, I used to watch Johan Cruyff talk all the time, man, because I could watch that guy talk about football so much. And one of the things that he always used to say was that he didn't really need world-class defenders. He just needed someone with the tactical awareness and mentality to cover the space. Because a world-class defender, right, is a guy that can tackle, right, slide tackle, all these type of things. But if you, and this is the thing about like the Dutch and their like ideology of football is so great, Terry, because it's like You don't have to be that world-class defender. If you just have that positional awareness, you don't have to make the tackle. You know, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
like, if you
Michael
just
Carrick had
understand
that.
your position.
Michael Carrick was so good at that, and this is how uneducated like Britain was with football players. Then is I've told this story so many times, but it stands. I was in Italy watching United play away from home, and we beat Inter Milan. And I didn't fly. A lot of my friends I went with flew home that same night, or they traveled home that same night. I stayed in a hotel and went home the next day. And I got up in the morning. It was a nice day. Went for a nice sort of breakfast in a restaurant. And I didn't buy papers. I'm a liar. They had papers there in the restaurant, and I don't really know why I picked the paper up, because can't read Italian. I picked it up anyway. I don't know why. And I'm looking at I'm mainly looking at the pictures. That's about the length of my intellect. And the back page was all about Michael Carrick and how magnificent he is. You could kind of, you could tell the praise was high for him.
You see?
And then I went onto my phone and started looking at all the back pages of the British press. And it was all about the goal scorers, the skills, the tenacity, the power, the pace.
It's a difference in culture,
not
man.
any focus on that element. And it's why I think Donny van der Beek's going to be important tomorrow. That is there. And on the point there about, how good, you don't need great defense. I remember listening to Jimmy Greaves. My dad does after dinner speaking, and Jimmy Greaves was at a show. And I remember just listening to him talk, and someone asked him a question about football players, and he basically said, like, tactical awareness and fitness is like 85% of the job. So he was basically saying how if you've got if you've got a player that's good technically, tactically, can stay in the right position and say a fullback, and he's fit enough, he can stop the majority of the best, say, wingers in the world. And he was explaining how what normally happens is tiredness that lets people down. And of course, the best players in the world every now and then do a skill that puts you on your backside. So you can sometimes be undone. But he says, generally speaking, as long as you're fit enough to keep up with the pace and you're aware of where you should be positioned, you can stop someone. You could have one of the best attackers in the world against an average defender. And if the fitness levels, and when he says fitness, he's talking speeds there. Like if you're like running like you've got concrete boots on, you're up against an absolute pace merchant as well, that's difficult. But if it's a like for like on the physicalities and you're good from a spatial awareness point of view, you can stop some of the best players in the world. And I remember thinking, nah, that's nonsense. And then my dad's like, do you realize that's Jimmy Greaves, who's one of the greatest strikers in the history of football? He knows what he's talking about. And it is true to an extent. And that's where you listen to Rio Ferdinand talk. He always screams at defenders, stay on your feet. Generally, and it don't matter what level you're at. I'm not a very good footballer, but I got moved from attacking positions to defensive positions when I returned to football when I was about 21, 22, because I weren't good enough. And my brother was a good defender. And he said, Terry, I had to play once. My brother said, I don't want you making any tackles today. He says, all I want you to do is mark people at corners and put pressure on them and then size people up. Just don't try and tackle them. Don't even make the first move. Just stand there and stop them from running or stop them from beating you. That's all I did all game. And I remember coming up and everyone was like, oh, you played so well. I remember sitting there thinking, I didn't do anything. I basically was like a body checker imagine like if I was an American footballer, all I was doing was like body checking people to stop them from getting to the runners. I didn't do anything, but it's because I just stood still basically, but stopped people from getting crosses into the box.
No, but see, you was playing you was playing on a mentality level rather than a technical level. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like you was playing with your head, and that's what a lot of like England's catching up to that now. We're catching up, but we still don't have any player like, look at Thomas Muller. He plays with his head, bro. Yeah, of course. And these players are elite, and I'm an average Sunday League football player, but it does work. And I remember because the game before where I came on, I was going for the slide tackles. I was trying to play like intricate passes inside to midfielders and kept on messing up. My brother's like, no. And he said, and when you get the ball, he said, I want you, unless there's an easy pass, I want you just to knock it into the channel. I don't care if it gets recycled. Knock it into the channel, into a non-dangerous place. Get it out. Because I was that bad, right? My brother was the captain centre-back, and I was next to him. And and then was mad. I ended up getting picked for the first team. They were like, no, we want Terry to play because he's not letting people get past him. And I was like, this is amazing. Now, that's a much lower level version of that system. And of course, listen, people say like Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not technically gifted. If you put him in a Sunday League team, he'd score 200 goals in a season. That's how good these men are compared to the average person on the street. Yeah. But it's true. You just sometimes, and that's why I think Scott and Fred are important for this game. On a technical level, they're not on the same planet as Pogba, as Bruno, as Donny van der Beek. They're not. But what they have is the ability to stay disciplined, stay in position, try their best to stop anything from penetrating us on the attack, and then
boom, simple passes, like my brother instructed me to do. Simple, win the ball, nothing stupid. Simple passes out to your wide players or into Cavani or whoever it is holding the ball up for the runner to then counter with. I think they will do that job. They're better than Paul Pogba. Why are they better than Paul Pogba at that job? Because Pogba he's flamboyant. He is adventurous. He is creative. He's got such an intelligent football brain. He'll win the ball back and be like, "Oh, this pass there is what we should do," or "I'm going to wait. I'm not going to come back and cover that space because I want to be here for if we win the ball back and it comes to me." That's his instinct, and you can't remove instinct sometimes from people. Where with Bruno and McTominay, I think they're very different from that. So it's not about Pogba ain't good enough for this game. It's about picking the best team for the job that you need, horses for courses, and then bring him on later on in the match. But Mac, listen, bro, amazing talking to you this morning. As ever, we'll chat to you again soon, my man. Thank you. Sonny here of a super chat says, "Calm down, Man United. You are pants with skid marks." All right, mate. And by the way, Sonny, I did see your super chat from last night. And yes, Agawa is here warming my feet. So it's all good, bro. It's all good. Listen, everyone who's tuned in this morning, thank you very, very much. As always, do me a big, big favor. Smash that like button for us. Paris Saint-Germain versus Manchester United. Live watch along on the Football Terrace tomorrow and post-match reaction show where we'll be covering the United and the Chelsea game. We have a Chelsea preview later on today. Anita is doing that for us. Until then, take care of yourselves. God bless. And see you in a bit. Bye-bye.